In My Hero Academia Chapter 421, everyone arrives for the final fight of the series, and Embers mode Deku finally appears. A ragged Kirishima was happy to see that so many of his friends made it to the big showdown. Choji shared the sentiment, but not the facial expression. Koda had his mean face on while saying that the police asked for any heroes who could still fight. Mina mentioned how Eraserhead got Kurogiri to help them out. Now, if you look at Mina, she looks like a vitiligo icon because she overused her quirk. We made a short about it, but at the time, her eyes changed color. Now, it's her skin that's lost a lot of pigment. Apparently, a lot of people assume that Mina is black for some reason. So I wonder what they'll think when this stuff makes it to the anime. Oyama has the meanest mug of them all, and rightfully so. All For One is the primary source of his suffering. His already unsuitable quirk is apparently getting stronger, and I've been attaching death flags to him for weeks. Invisible Girl came along with him. She's only partially visible for some reason, but thankfully, she is wearing clothes. It's not like the invisibility aspect of her quirk will be much help against All For One's Search quirk. Kaminari and Momo arrived together too. Seeing how hard Deku is fighting, there's no way they wouldn't show up. Kaminari knows that Deku isn't the Goku type who can handle the final villain on his own. Sue was more than willing to go wherever she might be needed as long as she can, which is very different from her stance earlier on in the series. Jiro mentioned how they've been fighting so long for this, and with only one earlobe left, she is in pretty rough shape. Mineta gritted his teeth. If he didn't step up today, he wouldn't even know why he ever dreamed of becoming a hero. So I guess he really has been cured of his perversion. His ambitions used to all be related to women. Deku had tears in his eyes when he saw all of his friends. We are here. This is a really cool shot, but I also wouldn't be surprised if Horikoshi were to enhance it for the volume release. This is a great moment. All For One looked at them all like his mother named him Thanos. To him, they were all just a bunch of walking dead. And to himself, he recognized that as a part of Shigaraki, he should have vanished along with him. But when he heard the sound of his brother Yoichi being destroyed, his whole world turned gray. As Deku's arms reformed, aloud, All For One admitted that his attachment had been severed. And since then, no attack has been able to pierce through the void of pure loss that he now feels. And that's how he managed to avoid being utterly destroyed. That's a very imaginative interpretation. But thanks to this, I guess we've managed to avoid the Kaguya scares. All For One began hovering with shifting appendages. He shared his realization with Deku. He now believes that tragedies are what make people stronger. And this new form of his is terrifying. But Deku wasn't the one to respond to him. It was Sero who disagreed. Man, these kids are tough as nails at this point. Despite all that they've been through, I'd like to think that the sight of All For One doing this is still pretty terrifying. In Naruto, everyone fights to survive against bloodthirsty ninjas, but Madara Uchiha is still Madara Uchiha. Sero added that his life isn't full of ups and downs like his friends. What keeps him going on a day-to-day basis is the simple desire to not be left behind by the skills of his peers. As he got a running start, he mentioned how one of his friends had it really rough and used to look like an addict. And that's when his friend Shoto showed up with his dad Endeavor. Sero shot his tape while wishing for such sad things to go away forever. Like Dabi, the two Todorokis looked more like corpses than people as they prepared their flash fire fists. The fiery collision was centered on the villain. Fuyumi and Rei were on their way to Recovery Girl, but the old healer hero has already passed her limit, so she may not be able to help them. Natsuo told Shoto and their dad that they'd be of no use just hanging around, so if they still could, they should join the big fight too, which is what they decided to do. Uraraka aside, these were the last people I expected to show up. Aside from being repeatedly incinerated by Dabi, Endeavor already lost a whole arm against All For One. The fact that they're still fighting is a major testament to that Todoroki durability. I'm guessing Uraraka and Bakugo will make major appearances of their own just when we need them the most. Sero grabbed hold of them both with his tape. He mentioned that he's been thinking this way since he heard about Shoto beating Dabi. After that, Present Might joined the fight too. As he left from the partially illuminated darkness of Kurogiri, he thanked his old friend. He also saw that everyone who could fight is already in attendance. With that, he spurred them all on with a roaring battle cry in the face of evil. Because it is time for their final big mission. All for One shifted his body into the shape of a distorted flesh rifle, sort of like Lady Nagan, but on an even deadlier scale. Despite the sheer quantity of injured heroes in front of him, the Demon King languished the fact that he felt nothing at all. Without All Might, they were all nothing to him. Just then, a powerful suction ability caught his attention. 13 was riding into battle on Hound Dog's back while using her black hole quirk against the villain. This was combined with Gang Orca's hypersonic waves and Shishikura's meatball fingers. To all this, All for One simply swatted the flies away from himself with a clean sweep. Vernon and some others did their best to defend against the onslaught. The abomination tore through the area surrounding Mount Fuji. The villain was way too fast for them. They'd need a couple dozen heroes in order to deal with just one of his attacks. And despite Sero's ability to catch him off guard before, the guy has no openings. Hendo told the heroes around her that they need to stick together and fight as one. Deku felt compelled to join them, but he was far from being in good shape at this point. Eraserhead explained that Deku had been rewound by a few minutes, right before he lost his arms. It wasn't enough to undo all the damage he's accumulated over the course of his fight against Shigaraki. Eraserhead wondered just how long the kid's been going full throttle, but Deku had a confession of his own. He's thrown away One for All. This totally blindsided Aizawa. He couldn't believe that Deku didn't have the power anymore. The final inheritor also added that all of the extra quirks are gone too. So for everyone who was craving explicit confirmation, here it is. Deku does not have One for All. All Might's gift is finally gone. But Deku wasn't done speaking. As he slowly rose to his feet, Deku let his teacher know that although he only had the power for a bit over a year, as a quirkless person, he had One for All ingrained in him. It's the very same thing that happened to the symbol of peace, All Might. With a look of intense determination, Deku let it be known that his embers have not gone out yet. Deku will be running on fumes and using the final sparks of the most heroic power in history. With these embers, Deku will finally put an end to All for One. But before he could fully express the villain's fate, Eraserhead interrupted him. The Erasure hero tended to him with some medicine, bandages, and a shirt. Deku looked at the All Might shirt with astonishment as Aizawa told him that he got all of this stuff from the refugees. Now, if you look at Deku's arm, he now has those signature decay lines, adding to his growing collection of scars. Deku quickly recognized the top to be a specific piece of All Might memorabilia, which I'm assuming he's able to connect to the guy who offered it. Aoyama then took Deku's hand and told him that they'd be running. With a bit of filth on his previously glistening sheen, the UA trader let his heroic friend know that he needs their power just as much as they need his. Another reminder that such battles aren't to be faced alone, along with being a reminder of the hand he offered to Aoyama after the treacherous reveal. Deku could only hold back tears as he allowed himself to be guided. The societal collective cheered their heroes on. Everyone was working together. A now shirtless Deku fan was furiously cheering them on. Eri cried while doing the same for Deku. She also has a bandage over where her horn used to be. A lot of you guys believe that it'll just grow back, and I sure hope so. Koda mirrored her. Gran Torino was moved by his spiritual grandson's efforts. Endeavor's biggest fan and his group were watching intensely. Deku then took a major step forward. Now, he runs towards the ultimate danger. The end is near. Art aside, Horikoshi's strong suit are these sorts of sentimental moments, and he totally nailed it here. I would love to know what you guys think about all these developments in the comments. As always, I'm /Botaku. Thank you all so much for watching and have an awesome day. I love you.